Should I leave it? No. Too much color everywhere. I need to stop messing around. This is fine. This is the setup we're doing today. Okay. Hi, welcome to Hot and Capable, the podcast / project. With the goal, the main purpose, the goal is to offer peer support, not just me to you if that's possible, but you to hopefully a community that will grow and people will find peer support from each other. That's the main goal. I just want to be here, helping in any way I can and making sure that nobody feels alone in their struggles. And also, I'm here to speak openly about mental health struggles and life struggles, just to help break the stigma and, not break the stigma and make sure that nobody feels alone. So that's the goal here. That's what we're doing. This is episode 3. I apologize if the mic peaks a little bit. I apologize if it makes sounds, because my setup isn't professional. Clearly, we're using the Blue Yeti, which is a great mic, and this is just like a little, we're gonna have some lo-fi cozy vibes in this little corner today. Today's topic is traveling alone with anxiety, and I have a lot to say. I'm so excited to film this. I have an hour before I have to hop into therapy, so yeah. My goal is to actually upload these on Tuesdays to have it be like Therapy Tuesday, because I've been having therapy on Tuesdays. But yeah, there's going to be a 3-week break, 3 to 4 weeks actually after this week, because I'm going to Australia for 3 weeks and I cannot record there. I hate that I just got started and I want to I want to do this every week, but instantly I'm taking like a 4-week break. But that's because I'm traveling, and that is, the theme of this episode. So let's get to it. So I have a lifelong history of struggling with anxiety, starting from when I was a very small kid and leaving the house, going on like summer road trips with my family, or just staying at a friend's house overnight. Impossible, or just like a real struggle. So just leaving the house in general and being in uncertain or even like familiar locations, places that just wasn't my home and my safe space, was really hard. So I've been dealing with that my whole life, and only in the few recent years have I actually been making great progress in traveling and leaving the house and everything. And so I'm so freaking excited to be able to finally like look back and tell you about all the progress I've made and how I got there. So I want to tell you about my victories, my small victories, big ones, but also the struggles and the fails. And there's actually a very nice balance of both. Let's start with that. Let me tell you about my experiences, and then I can kind of tell you about what lessons I've learned and how I got there. Okay, so if we skip past my childhood struggles, as I just told you basically what they were, let's skip to 2019-ish, when I started psychotherapy. I had been going to therapy for 10 years up until this point, but it was just like talking therapy. It wasn't anything really like constructive, or it wasn't aimed to really treat anything I was going through. Well, we only had one diagnosis up until that point. No, we had 2. No, we had 3. Anyway, in 2019 I finally started psychotherapy, and it was also cognitive behavioral therapy, which I talked about in the previous episode. And so I moved out when I was 2016. And it got to the point where I could not even leave the house to take out the trash or go to the mailbox. It got that bad that I just could not leave the door or the house. I mean, well, I still struggle with that, but anyway, so that was a starting point for me. But then I had another starting point when I started that psychotherapy in 2019, where because I don't live in the city, like the city near to me. I've lived in a small town, I've lived in a small village, so walking in city center, hard, impossible. Like I could not do it. Like I could not even like walk in the city alone. So let's just take that as a starting point, because then my therapist, what we would do was have like double sessions, and she would take me to the marketplace, which is the dead center of the city, and she would walk in one direction and make me wait a few minutes, and then I had to follow her and walk back to her alone. So that's how that's where it started, this whole process of finding independence, being able to move around on my own, so with enough, this is so fun to look back to, because we had to repeat that several times. That was exposure therapy at its fucking best at that point. And it got to a point where after one double session where we did like the walking around in the city, she dropped me off at a corner, and then I went into a cafe, which were the most horrible places for my anxiety. I walked into a cafe where I had never even been before, and I sat down and I got a little coffee and I got a pastry or something, and I read The Hobbit, and I sat there. I took myself out on a date. That was what it was. It was exposure therapy. It was like with my own rules and everything, but I just sat in a cafe alone. And then that wasn't enough, so I went to the library and I hung out in the library, and then I went home, and then I couldn't wait to tell my therapist, like, I did all that. Like, look at me go, I did all that. And then after that, because I had therapy once or twice a week, I started a tradition where after therapy, before or while I was waiting for the bus home, I would walk to another cafe and get my favorite coffee drink. And I feel like if I went there now and got that same drink, I would be instantly transported back to 2019, 2020, when I would have that tradition, that reward after therapy. And yeah, so that's like where I started. Wait, I didn't even remember that part. So that's progress. I can't stop smiling remembering it. Like, I did all that. Anyway, the last episode or the first episode, I talked a little bit about my volunteer work as an experienced expert, but basically just like a peer support person, I think is a better term for it. I talked about a web seminar I did every year for a while about diagnosis versus identity, and in that seminar I had a little section about my small victories, which was exactly this. It was going to take out the trash or getting in the mail. It was one summer having a friend call me and be like, hey, you want to come hang out? And with like a 20-minute warning, with no makeup, in this cute little jumpsuit, I hopped on the bus and I went and I hung out at City Center, had a great time, came home on the last bus.
That's a river behind me. I'm drunk as fuck. You can't open my vodka bag. More vodka. Break it open. Does anybody have scissors? I'm all giddy because I'm walking home. I just hopped off the bus.
giggling to myself. I'm still drunk, so that has something to do with it. I've made it. I'm so happy. I had such a great night. I'm so drunk. I need to eat something. What a day, man. It was those little victories that you should always celebrate, and why they are so important to notice. And then, yeah, so anyway, that was a section I had in every seminar, and I still collect those small victories. But another little victory was in also 2019. I was taking the train to my dad's place, a train that I had been taking for so many years, so that route was comfortable and safe and I could do that. But then suddenly the train had to stop because there were, I think, trees or something that fell onto the tracks. So the train suddenly stopped at the next station and everybody had to leave the train and be taken to the next stop. Which, no, it happened to be the stop that I was going to anyway. But we had to go onto buses. And these kinds of hiccups whenever I was traveling or whatever, or anywhere, little hiccups, unexpected things that happen, and then you have to alter your safe plans and whatever, you know what I mean. I did not deal well with little hiccups and changes to the plans. I was such a boss. I mean, what made it a little bit more difficult to switch from the train to the bus was that I was walking on crutches. I don't remember which exact injury this was. I bet it was my left knee, that just went kaput that morning or whatever, and I had to walk on crutches. And so, taking my bags and walking on crutches was a little bit difficult. And I'm surprised that nobody offered to help. Somebody else had been in that situation trying to carry bags and walk on crutches. I would have gone and helped them with their bags. Anyway, nobody did, but I managed it on my own. And I got to the next station, my dad came to pick me up, and I was so proud of how I handled that situation. Maybe to another person, they wouldn't even have thought about it. Maybe they would have been like, oh, that's a minor inconvenience. But for me, it was a big deal. And so it's gathering these experiences that make you see how far you've already come. But then, as a contrast to this win with the train switching, this was a couple years. This was last year in 2024, I think. I was switching trains by myself for the first time. I had never switched a train before because I was going to my sister's place. And so I got there safely and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a boss. I switched trains by myself. But coming back, there were delays, so that was a hiccup. I thought I was going to miss the first train, which would have made me probably miss the longer train. And so I was in a panic. But once that train finally arrived, I could not find I was actually having a panic attack and I could not find my seat anywhere. Turns out it was upstairs and I had never been upstairs in a train before. So it was horrible. I ended up sitting down on the floor in front of the doors, just hyperventilating. Is that the word? Hyperventilating. It is. That's the correct word. And sobbing, shaking, just done. I just gave up. I sat on the floor and I fucking give up. I cannot do anything. So a conductor, is that the word? A woman. Let's say conductor. I think that's the right word. She found me there and she was like, are you okay? Did you get on the right train? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And she helped me find the right seat, which was so good. And then we arrived at the next station in time. That the next train waited for this one. I hopped on the train. I was like, okay, fucking finally, I'm good. I start to find my seat and I come to the end of the train and I'm like, wait, where the fuck's my car? Where the fuck's my seat? I got on the wrong train. Which it was it was the same train, but it had been like split in two, and the section I was in was not gonna continue all the way to my main station. So I did get on the wrong train. However, I was not the only one to make that mistake, because I would have ran to, because my car was the last one, I think. I would have ran there, but I thought since the train is already waiting, it's already delayed, I was like, I don't want to inconvenience anyone and like waste another 20 seconds to run to my other. So I got on, whatever. So I wasn't the only one. And so then the conductor on this train told us that at this next stop, just hop on the other one and you'll be fine. And so that's what happened. But I actually had a panic attack. At this point, I was already able to laugh at the situation, and I was like texting my best friend about it, and she was like, at what time does your train get to the end station? And I was like, this time. And then she was like, I'll come pick you up. She drove to the city, it's like a 40-minute drive, just to pick me up from the station so I wouldn't have to worry about a bus or a cab. It was also like minus 20 or something degrees. This was in the middle of winter. So she came to pick me up and she took me home. I love her. But at this point, I was already able to laugh at the situation. But anyway, so we had a little victory with changing trains, and then we had a little wobble. A little wobble changing trains. Then we have a recent little wobble where I actually did fucking miss a train for the first time. This was very recently. I was going to my dad's, and there was only one bus that I could take to make it to this train, and then it drives past the train station every time. But this time, it started taking a different route, and I was like, okay, well, this has happened before when there has been some, like a bridge has been closed off, and so I was like, okay, it'll just do this like one block difference, like a little, but then it went on longer, and then I started thinking, I go, how long is it gonna be driving this way? Then it was like far. And so I asked the driver, like, is this gonna drive past the train station? And he was like, nope, the bridge is closed. And then there were two other passengers that were like, what? And we all panicked, and the bus left us at the next bus stop, and we ran. Like, when I tell you I ran, we didn't make it. I don't think any of us did. And so, because I just got to the station when the train drove past me, and I was like, okay. So here's where I saw progress in myself. I did not panic, which is weird. I just sat down at the bus stop, and I was like, okay, new plan. I immediately went into problem-solving mode and not panic mode. I found it really funny. I kept telling people after it, I was like, I'm so proud of myself. What the fuck? Like, I was able to problem solve. So what I did was I just booked the next train, which was in a couple hours. There was like one seat left. Booked that. Told my dad, like, hey, this happened. Just come pick me up a couple hours later. I walked back to city center. I went into my favorite cafe, because now I have a favorite cafe, by the way. I got a big tea. I waited that 2 hours and just caught the next train, and I was like, I was fine. Like, see, do you see how far I've come? I didn't even fucking panic. I didn't even get anxiety. I just did so well, because I've come so far, and I'm so proud of that. Enough with the trains, okay? So going back to 2023, when my husband, boyfriend at the time, came to visit me for the first time in Finland. He flew from Australia to here and then back, and then this was like May. But earlier that year, I started thinking, like, it is a possibility that at the end of 2023, I'll be flying to Australia to visit him and his family. So when I knew that this is a possibility, I had made a lot of progress, but I was still, the thought of having to, the first time I had to travel alone would be to Australia. And that felt like a little impossible. So I thought I should start training myself to travel alone, like actually travel alone, not just talking about local transportation, like buses, not just talking about going to the cafe, not just talking about like walking around city center, not just talking about switching trains. I'm talking about like actually traveling. So I got a great idea. This is the start of the big stuff. I had a birthday in April, and I spontaneously got the idea that for a birthday present from me to myself, I will book a hotel room in Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland. It's a little bit of a bigger city than what I'm used to over here. Because I was like, I can take the train there. I can walk around alone in Helsinki and explore and then come back the next day. That was the plan, and that sounded good. And in that moment I was like, I actually wanted to do it. I was excited, and yeah, I decided to this will be training. This will be exposure therapy. For sure. My parents actually ended up buying my train tickets for me for my birthday present because I called them and I was like, hey, if you actually want to get me a present, can I request something like usable? Something practical. So they bought my train tickets, and then I got my hotel, and then I was arriving there that morning on the train, and I just kept thinking like, where the fuck's my anxiety? Like, where the fuck is she? Like, I'm almost to the capital already. Like, what the fuck's happening? Where is she? And I thought about that until I got home the next day. She didn't show up. My anxiety did not show up. And I walked around the very center of the city. I went shopping, and she didn't show up. And I was baffled. I was like, what the fuck? How? But I was so happy. And at this point, I hadn't been going to that therapist, to psychotherapy, for a year. And I was so excited about this. Like, I wanted her to know the progress I've made. So I emailed her and I told her this, and I was like, can you believe it? I really want to email her again and tell her that, like, hey, remember that Australian boy I was dating? Yeah, I married him. And all of this. So that was a big thing for me, and that was me wanting to do that. And yeah, so after this experience, I felt a lot more comfortable actually with the idea of going to Australia. And that ended up happening. In October 2023, my second time, traveling alone was to Australia. And it was really fun because my mother, at this point, I hadn't switched trains yet. And I thought that was too much for me. So my mother actually drove me to the airport a few times, actually. It's a long drive, and I'm very grateful for her because it made it easier for me. But so she drove me there. My father also drove there to come say goodbye to me, and my sister wanted to but couldn't, so she was on a video call right outside of security. And so it was very sweet. It was very cute, but I just remember my mother talking and me just like internally being like, please shut up, like let me go already. Like I was ready. In that moment, before going through security, I felt ready. I didn't have anxiety. I wasn't really scared or nervous at all. I just felt ready because I had so much faith in myself and my capabilities to take care of myself, which was a huge thing. And then I was like, okay, I'll be going now. Goodbye. And then I flew to Australia. I had a layover in Singapore. Sure, there was like stress. There was anxiety. It wasn't comfortable, and there was a little bit of a worry of missing my connection because of delays and stuff. I didn't. And I made it to Australia. I made it through security because I got stopped and everything, But I made it. And then I had a great few weeks there. And then it was time to come back. And yet again, it was uncomfortable. Flying was uncomfortable, but I was fine. Like, I did it. It wasn't actually as big of a deal as it was. But also, after flying there, after going through all that, doing it myself, it felt so fucking good. The pride I had for myself, it felt so good. And so I knew I'll be able to make it home. It's fine. While I was like checking in my luggage for the flight home, because I thought I would be having a layover in Singapore, but all this time on my ticket it said Doha. So when me and my husband were like checking in the luggage, we were like, hang on, why does that say Doha? Like, why do the signs say Doha? And then I realized, oh fuck, okay. that could have been a hiccup, but I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to Doha. And I did, and that was a little bit also of a bigger airport that I've been used to, but I was able to find my gate. I was able to be just fine. When I saw the Finnair planes outside the window, because I was sat on the plane already, I think, and I saw the Finnair planes outside, that's when I started crying. That was the first time I actually got homesick on the whole trip. But I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm on a Finnair plane. I'm going home. Everything's okay. And seriously, like, all of my relatives, my family, my friends, they were also so proud of me. And I mean, that's also an amazing thing when it's like these people who have seen you at your worst, they know your struggles, and then they get to witness you do this. It's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm filming this video. Wait, 1, 2, 3. This is Tuesday. I am leaving to go to Australia again on Friday, which is why I'm filming this video, this episode right now about the travel anxiety and traveling alone, because I figured this is perfect timing, and whatever I say in this episode, I will need to hear more than you. So yeah, smiling this wide, talking about these memories of success and victory and everything. Yeah, I'm feeling better. Feeling less anxious now. This is exactly what I needed. Hang on, I have more stories. I have a few not so fun ones, okay, but it's fine. So I flew to Spain and back with my mom last year in 2024. This was the peak of my panic attack season, and just everything. I was in a horrible, bad, dissociative panic attack place that trip, and both ways I was having a panic attack on the planes. I'm not scared of flying, actually. That's really good, because this would be a lot worse if I was scared of flying. Actually, I'm not. But I was having a panic attack both ways. And coming back, it was so bad because my panic attacks and my anxiety symptoms in general, because they have morphed over the years. That's a whole other thing. But in 2024, they got very physical. So when I'm having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, my muscles and my limbs just twitch, and sometimes I think it can look like I'm convulsing, like I'm having an epilepsy attack. It's horrible. It's so physically exhausting. That's how I messed up. Oh wait, no, that was OCD tics. Anyway, so I felt really bad for the girl sitting next to me because of me twitching the whole 3-hour plane ride. But it got to a point where my mom was asleep and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I walked to the back of the plane to find the flight attendants. And I told them, hi, I'm having a panic attack and I don't know what to do. And this is a lesson of asking for help, which is completely fine. So they were so freaking sweet. They gave me chocolate. They talked to me and I bought a coffee, and it helped a little bit, but to be completely honest, it did not cure me of the panic attack. It continued until the end. But at some point before landing, one of them did come check up on me. Or no, it was after, I think. One of them did come up and check on me and was like, do you feel better? And I said, yeah, even though I didn't. But I wanted to tell that just because, like, it's okay to ask for help. And flight attendants, I mean, they are there to make your trip as safe and, like, comfortable as possible. So I didn't feel shame in asking for help, especially when they were just so nice. So, yes. And then, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, I have a really bad one that I can definitely laugh about now. But here's an example of when I was able to problem solve, and then another example of when I would have been completely lost without having somebody else there. So, I was going to the UK because my husband moved from Australia to the UK. He's about to move back to Australia this week. Just a side note, but he moved to the UK. I've been there a few times to visit him. And the last time I went there, Jesus, okay, so I had a bus at 8:25 in the morning, the only bus I could take to catch the train to the airport, to catch the only flight I could take. I had a panic attack, an ongoing panic attack, the entire night before I had to leave. And so I was still up at 6:45, I think. Let's say 30 minutes before the alarm that when I needed to get up to be able to catch the bus. So 30 minutes before, I had not slept a wink. I was still having a panic attack. I took more medication. Okay, I have strong medication, and I have a lot of extra medication that I can take if the others aren't enough. So I took a few more pills, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to close my eyes and sleep for the last 30 minutes, or the next 30 minutes. I did. However, I think they knocked me out so hard that I woke up at 8:25, the exact minute that the bus drove past my house. And you can imagine the panic. This is an example of how, because I could have become completely paralyzed in that situation, like my sister said, but instead I was able to go into that problem solving mode of just, what's the next thing? And so I call a taxi, and they only had one available who could get to me in time, because the train left at 9 o'clock. This was 8:25. So the cab was on its way. I'm so glad I had packed the majority of my things the night before, and I'm so glad that I had put an outfit on the chair so I could just put on the outfit, packed whatever I could. I had made like lunch and snacks that I would have taken to the train. I didn't have the time to grab those. The worst thing was I could not find my engagement ring. It was on my finger the entire night. I knew that. But at some point in this panic, I had lost my my engagement ring. And it felt really heartbreaking to go to my fiance without the ring, but I just could not find it. Even at the last minutes before I had to run, I was looking for it, but then I was like, okay, it's fine, it's somewhere in the apartment. I know it's somewhere, it's not lost, it's fine, I have to go. The taxi on the way to the train station was like, does your train leave at 9? And I was like, yep, it does. He was like, okay. Drops me off. The train has not left yet, and I called him an angel. I was like, thank you so much, you're an angel. And then run to the train, hop on the train, breathe, and then try to find my seat. And 30 seconds went by and the train left. It was insane. It was insanity. So at that point, I find my seat, and then I go find a coffee. And I actually called my grandmother first. I was like, because I think she texted me and was like, have you made it to the train? And so I called her, and I was like, bitch, barely. And then I make it back to my seat. No, I realized before I went to get the coffee, I realized that every item of clothing I had put on was backwards. So I had like my skirt backwards, tag showing, my shirt backwards, tag showing. And so, Jesus fucking Christ, went to the bathroom, changed those. Anyway, an hour had gone by on the train. I pull out my Kindle and I'm like, okay, I think I'm calm enough to be able to read now or do something. And I'm holding the Kindle in my right hand. And I see that I had put my engagement ring on the wrong hand. And I had the ring the entire time. I think this is a really fun story because I'm still laughing at it now. Because imagine it, I had 30 seconds and I made it. Whatever. Flew there, got there, was there for a few weeks, and then coming back. Because I had no mobile data plan or anything, and texts weren't really going through while I was overseas and whatever. My fiance at the time, he was like, do you think you could make it from, because the flight was to Manchester and he lived like around Leeds, so you would take a train from around there to get to Manchester. So he was like, do you think you'd be able to do it yourself? And I said, I don't think so, because if anything goes wrong, I won't have internet, I won't really have anyone to contact. What the fuck would I do then? And he was like, okay, fair, valid, I'll come with you. I need to breathe. I need to take a breath. That ended up being excellent because on one of the trains, some fucker was fucking around on the train tracks. So any fucking trains coming to that area or whatever just stopped. It was horrible. Like, it was a huge deal. Anyway, we were left on some train station, and long story short, I would have been completely done. I don't know how I would have been able to make it out of that train station anywhere or contact anyone. I was having a panic attack. I could not think rationally. I was just like, this is it. I'm done. But thank fuck my husband is good at performing under pressure, and he made the call to okay, we need to get a taxi to get you to the airport. So he got me in a cab. The cab got me to the airport, and like, we ran to the Finnair baggage drop off place, and there was no line either. When I got to the gate eventually, I had 30 minutes, which is not that much, but still, I didn't miss the plane because husband was able to perform under pressure and take care of me. Anyway, I only have like 25 minutes until therapy. I've just been yapping, but I love this. Anyway, when we got to the baggage drop off, the lady was so nice, and she was like, okay, breathe. look at her, she's breathing. And then she was like, yeah, no, don't worry, I would have, even if your luggage was overweight, I would have let you. I wouldn't have charged you. And then as I was done, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna catch my flight, and we were like leaving, I think I yelled at her, I think I said, have the best life ever. I was like, thank you, have the best life ever, and just ran away, and I could hear her laughing in the background. But that's how relieved and happy I was. But that was the example of a situation where I just unfortunately could not have dealt with it myself. And I'm very lucky that my husband was there. But the lesson here is, you can't always do it. Sometimes there will be times when you probably wouldn't be able to get through a struggle on your own, but then there are those times where you're doing it just fine and you don't even have to. You're just thinking, like, where the fuck's my anxiety at? Like, where'd you go? Those are the examples I wanted to tell you about me traveling alone and the progress and whatever. Do I have any advice for anyone traveling? Like, let's say, let me think, because I didn't do my research or take any notes for this because I haven't had the time. My advice in general, I think, is exposure therapy. If you are struggling leaving the house to take out the trash, you just have to do it. It's a repetition thing. You have to do the things that give you anxiety multiple times in order for it to become easier. And then hopefully that repetition, and also just trying new things and challenging yourself, you get those results and you get that confidence that, oh, I was able to do this once, I should be able to do it again, right? Like, I know I've succeeded in this one time. I know that I am capable, and I should just probably try it another time and see. Like, exposure therapy, as hard as it is, and how just, I fucking hate it, but like the results, it's just building that confidence in yourself, believing in yourself first and foremost, knowing yourself first and foremost, like knowing what challenges you have, and not being mean to yourself if we can use the word fail. If you fail at something you set out to do, or it doesn't just go as planned, or you're not completely satisfied with how you handle the situation, just like learning how to not be so cruel and mean to yourself in that situation, but instead maybe try to look for a lesson there and be like, oh, if I had done this, maybe that would have worked out for me better, and then I can try that the next time and see. Or just accepting that, oh, I don't think I'm capable of this yet. I need a little more learning and building that confidence. Like, being okay with the fact that, oh yeah, no, I wasn't capable. You're not always capable. That's fine. It's fine. It's completely fine. Also, I guess comparison is like, oh, like, what is wrong with me? Like, it seems like everybody can do this one thing and I can't. Like, that's stupid. That's dumb. Never compare yourself to another person, because you're on different levels, and that's fine. And what's a big challenge to someone cannot even be a worry for someone else. So it's useless to compare. But knowing yourself, being there for yourself first and foremost before looking for any sort of, I guess, validation or support. I mean, getting support from your loved ones, it's important. But it doesn't fix the situation if you're not that supportive of yourself first. Does that make sense? But let's say you're a nervous flyer, or just having anxiety on a plane, or on a train, or on a bus. It's important to have things, I think, distractions, whatever brings you joy or comfort. Like, I like to have YouTube videos, including ASMR, on also Spotify, like podcasts, ASMR, music, downloaded to my phone so I don't need internet connection. I like to have a Sudoku notebook in my bag, because that's at the same time a good, like, brainless activity, but also something I can try to focus on instead of like worrying about whatever's going on in my brain. Like, having activities to do to distract yourself, calm yourself down. You can also look at breathing techniques if you're struggling, like if you're hyperventilating or just struggling to breathe, whatever. There's a lot of different breathing techniques, and sometimes I honestly worry if I'm like, I've never had to do this, but if I was hyperventilating and I was like doing a breathing exercise, I told this to my therapist, and my therapist said something like, oh, so you're not allowed to breathe in public? And I was like, oh. And she was like, you're not allowed to breathe in public? And I was like, yeah, no, that's a good point. I guess that's a good point. I don't really have a list of, like, just use your own coping mechanisms, do a little bit of searching maybe for new ones, just knowing yourself, having confidence in yourself, and practicing that. The capability of acting under pressure or performing under pressure, going into that problem solving mode is what I was gonna say. Practicing that instead of going into a panic first. But I think that if you're as nervous and anxious as I am and have been in the past, I think I only learned it from experience. Yeah, because it's like when things go wrong and you're able to survive that just by yourself, or you just challenge yourself and just succeed, and that builds the confidence. With like the thing about, like, I have done this once before, I should be able to do it again. Just trusting in yourself, and if things go wrong, trusting that it could go right the next time and you should not give up, but also being okay with the fact that, okay, maybe that's just not something I can do alone and I need help and assistance and support, and that is completely fine too. I need to start yapping because I have therapy in 15 minutes, and that means I need to be yapping for another 45. And I have a shitload of stuff to still do before I leave on Friday. Important note. Because of this story about the whole night panic attack and missing my bus, and knowing that that is a possibility that can happen again, I have asked for help. I asked my mother, can you come spend that night with me and then take me to the train station the next day, so I know that I won't be alone, I won't have to stress about it, and that you can, like, I will make the train. And she was like, bet, I'll come help. She even offered to drive me to the airport again. She was like, oh, I mean, I could go to the Capitol, I could go Christmas shopping there. And I was like, mother, I appreciate it, but I know even if I'm panicked, I will make it to that fucking airport. As long as you just get me on the train, I know I can do it myself. See? Like, I am able to admit that, oh, I need help here. Mother, can you please come help me? But then also, like, yeah, it could be more comfortable and less anxiety inducing if she took me to the airport. But I was like, nope, this is where I draw the line, because I know I will be able to make it myself. It's a balance. And I'm really proud that I did ask my mom. And the idea of her coming to help me is just, it's made, it has reduced stress, I would say. So that's, oh my god, it's fucking, I leave in a few days. I have so much to do. Currently, I'm not panicked though, which is quite fun. I'm gonna try it. Okay, I'm gonna use all my senses, and I'm going to try to, like, save this feeling of just, there's no panic yet. There's no need to panic. Nothing's going wrong at the moment. If something goes wrong during the travel, I will be able to make it through. As long as I don't die, everything will be fine. I can make it through. I'm just trying to save this so that the next time I panic, I've already told my husband, remind me of this the next time I panic. Remind me that I am capable of feeling so calm. Okay. Wow. Okay, this was very fun for me. I hope this was fun. This was mainly like a story time, wasn't it? I hope that's fine. I hope that I need to edit this. I want to get this uploaded before I leave. And yes, there will be a 3 to 4 week break. I'm not happy about that, but I gotta go live my life in Australia. So that's fun. Anyway, Happy travels. Holidays, if you're stressing about the holidays, remember to respect your boundaries. Even if other people don't respect your boundaries, you set your limits. You just take care of yourself. And if you enjoy the holidays, I bet you enjoy the hell out of those holidays. And you have a great time. And you are hot and capable. I am hot and capable. And we can do hard things. Okay, I need to go because I have therapy in 10 minutes. Okay, bye. I'll catch you next time. I'm so sad to leave. Okay, bye.